as we, at the Center for the Future of Work, began to look at what was being discussed around business and technology, it was kind of a little bit scary. If you click on any link or pick up a magazine or watch the news, technology is presented as this really potentially harmful thing. It's going to hollow out the middle class. It's going to take jobs away so that the only thing left is oiling and maintaining the Terminators. It presents this really dystopian nightmare. And when we looked at what was actually happening, what people were really doing in business with AI, we saw a much different picture. We're seeing people innovate to drive new markets and create new value and create more efficient organizations. And the big conclusion of the book is there are things that we can learn from the early winners of the digital economy that anybody can apply. And if you think wisely about how to embrace these changes, the future can be really good, in fact, even better than good.
Christian, what about Sensemaking? How did the market drive the ideas behind that book?
It was not so much the market as it was a shift in technology. So it seemed like technology for a while was very much about sharing pictures and watching clips of video and so on. And those were the sort of the companies that we thought were the fanciest and most interesting. But then something happened where digital technology suddenly moved away from that and into the real world of hospitals and banks and education systems and so on. And that means that then it suddenly becomes really important. It was less important before. Now, suddenly you're touching very, very important parts of the society. And if you do that, you ought to have a thoughtful way of dealing with the people that are going to touch these systems and deal with these systems and be in them. And I thought I might have something to offer in terms of how do you do that? How do you make sense of people, and how do you make sense of culture, and how do you use that to build those kinds of systems for how we heal or bank or learn and so on?
It's just very interesting, the paths that you both took to get to your ideas behind the books, and then the ideas in the books themselves kind of converge. One from the more technologist's point of view,
right.
And then one from the humanities point of view.
It's maybe a little bit like when you went to high school and you took the 10 smartest kids in that year. 5 of them went to engineering school and they became helpful. The other 5 went to French and philosophy and all kinds of things. And it seems like they're sort of back together now, and we need both.
As we say in digital business, to be more digital, you actually have to be more human. And we say that because we've seen a lot of companies put a lot of investment and time into building technologies that don't focus on improving a process or experience with humans at the center of it. So the best digital solutions are actually the solutions that focus the most on what humans want and humans need. And so the integration of AI and new machines and new business models, coupled with a deep understanding of what people want and need within a specific context, we think that's how the digital economy is going to unfold.
So, for both of our organizations work with a lot of senior executives and a lot of big companies. What kind of advice are you giving to CEOs right now?
Right now, it seems like everybody is in a panic. It's like almost like a directionless panic. They're panicking, but they don't know which way to go. And that's in automotive, it's in consumer goods, it's in retail, it's across the board. And it's because of this, it's because of technology. And the only place to then think through this is reality. It is get out of the headquarters, get out of the practices that they normally have, and meet real people and see how real people engage with it. So if you're a telecom executive, you might not have met many of those for a while. And you'll understand that they are on a budget and have other concerns in their life, and maybe telecom services is not number 1 on the list like it is if you're an executive.
And then how does this reflect some of the conversations you're having with senior executives, Paul?
It's been a remarkable shift in a very, very short time in terms of organizational clock speed. We've found just over the last 2 or 3 years that AI technology and a human-centeredness around organizational decision-making has gone from somewhat theoretical and maybe not so urgent to it is absolutely core curriculum for every C-suite and boardroom for every client with whom we work. It is absolutely unequivocal that this is the number one challenge and business opportunity that these leaders are facing.
What are some of the skills that you would advise senior executives to start to cultivate and to obtain within their organizations? Paul, what about Center for the Future of Work must have studied this extensively?
Absolutely. One of the things that we've learned is that we say, if you want to beat the bot, actually be a better human. As technology continues to mature and get much more robust in terms of processing power, computers calculate really, really well. But humans do things that computers can't do now and won't do anytime soon. We have empathy and curiosity and passion, and we care about things. We want to discover things. Computers don't do that. So jobs and capabilities that are in line with work that people do really, really well and computers don't, those are the kind of skills that will have a long shelf life. People will be doing that kind of work now and in many, many years to come. Whether you're a teacher or a senior leader or a lawyer, your job may change as technology does more things, but the important things about teaching or diagnosing a patient or working with a client, those things are going to become even more important even as technology becomes more robust.
Interesting. And Christian, in your book, you're making the argument that that an investment in the humanities is important for these companies to kind of understand their markets and be successful in the future. How does that affect their hiring?
Well, it absolutely affects their hiring. I think there are a couple of things. I think, first of all, if you have a global market and you want to understand customers in Brazil or in California or in Western China, you ought to understand how they live and what their life is like. So that's a very advanced analytical empathetic skill that can be cultivated through engagement with the humanities. So that's the first thing. It's not just in the humanities, but humanities certainly is a good place for that. But being just a French major without any sensitivity to technology is probably not going to be very helpful. You need to understand that the technologies will infuse every part of working. Things that happened the last year is that the speed with which you can make things are now weeks instead of years, which means that everybody will have technological parts of their work life. So you have to be very good at French and very good at technology at the same time. And that's the hard truth about this, but also exciting. I mean, it's a wave where people start getting out of their silos, start combining things in new ways, and that's what the best companies are doing, I think. What I'm excited about right now is when you have data about people when they drive, say, you can start teaching them things, and you can start teaching them to drive better. When you have data about where people are at in their life, you can not sell them things when it's irrelevant. Yeah. So you can take out marketing costs. I think marketing used to be sending messages out in the ether in different platforms, either paper or TV or the internet. I think marketing in the future will be tools that can be used for something helpful.
That's the exciting part about where we are in history right now. We recognize that it's absolutely vital to make sense of what people want and need in context. And that's what Christian's book is all about. And it leans into what is the technology that could enhance that experience, improve that experience. And that's where we are right now at the early days of the digital build-out. If you think about the current crop of consumer-grade technologies, Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram, email even, they've trained us over the last years to expect more from technology. But they haven't really solved big problems. I can use an Uber to get a cab or a hotel tonight to get a hotel room. But it hasn't really changed how do we educate our children, how do we insure our families, how do we bank, how do we manage our financial health. That's what we mean when we say we're moving from digital that's fun to digital that matters.
That's great to kind of, remind ourselves the hopefulness that there is around the opportunity. I mean, this is really represents an enormous economic opportunity, an enormous opportunity for people and livelihoods and society. So I think it's a really exciting time. Thank you very much for speaking with us today. You've just heard about 2 books that tell us how to win in the digital economy by bringing together systems of intelligence with AI inside, coupled with a deep understanding of human wants and needs. Thank you for joining us today.